When you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Black and I'm proud. When you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Claim your African. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you. When you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Claim your African. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you. When you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Claim your African. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you. Become a part of it. Embrace it. 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 When you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Claim your African. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you. When you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Claim your African. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you. When you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud.
Peace and power, family. Peace and power. Dr. Daw is back in the building with Queen of B. We black and we proud. We claiming our Africanness. And we got a show for you today as we transition here, family. We are so excited to be here. Little late, but on time. You know, because whatever we're doing, just understand that we are taking care of business, much needed business. Our family. The show today is Kamala Harris Black. I put on here FBA, ADOS, African American, and does it matter? You know, Queen, speak to the people.
I want to say, what's up, people? Listen, we late, but we still great. I also want to say shout out to Dr. Eatonfield. I spent the whole day in ER, who took care of my mother. My mother's doing very well. But I want to say a shout out to her. She really calmed my mom's mind and got me back here in time to see my people. So I want to say peace to everyone. And we about to go in. Is K Harris Black? That's what I want to know.
Is K Harris Black?
Is she black, baby?
So, Queen, I mean, I know you know, we were speaking about identity in general. Yeah. The whole FBA, ADOS, African American, and so on and so forth type of identity politics that we find here in America, United States more specifically. And then you said, look, I want to speak about Kamala. I can't even say that. Kamala Harris. You know, whatever, right? Her name. Right. Vice President Kamala Harris. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, I'm just going to turn it over to you. I did put some things together to kind of frame my thought because I've been hearing people talk about this topic. But I'll be honest, it's not really, I mean, I'm just going to turn it over to you. Go ahead, Queen.
Well, this is, you know, we're in America. Let's be clear, everyone. And race is more than Olympics up in this joint. So we always running a race game. The race is very divisive. It is something that is used, but we have to understand it's a social construct and that it has no genetic disposition in our bodies. It's something that was made up and it's been used as a tool and we actually use it as a tool. And so what we see now in politics, of course, we got Trumpy and we got Kamala. Sister Harris. And this thing is today Trump spoke and here he goes again. He says she was black, or she was Indian all of this time. And then a few years back, she just became black. So
is that what Trump said?
That's what he said today. So this is where we are when we look at politics. All we see is people walking into the race thing is very important. Not how capable you are, not how educated you are, not that you've never been, you're not a felon. None of that matters. What we're talking about and what's more important as people are hungry, you look at gas prices, you look at grocery prices, you look at life, and we're talking about, is she black? That's what's most important. So it tells you the mindset of us, and not just the people here, but of this country, is that the focal point is always race. And so here we go again. And so we want to talk about this. I think it's a valid conversation. I'm not saying that she's not Black. What I will say is that whatever she is, she wouldn't be in that space if she was just going to help Black people. So I'm clear about that. So if she was Black, green, light, lilac, whatever, pink and green, because she's an AKA, whatever she is, she would not be there if she could not. If she was solely going to help Black people. So we could talk about race all we want, but that race has been gone. All right,
that race
is gone, bro.
Okay. You starting out real strong in the paint, coming hard. You know, you said I don't know anything about sports, but you're coming hard in the paint.
I just don't, bro.
Sister Queen of B coming down and around, you know, crossing over people and all types of things like that, you know. So, you know, and I think I think you said some things I wanted to say. And what I wanted to do is kind of flesh this out in the most professional manner I can in the little bit of time I had to prepare. And I wanted to have my thoughts start out. And I'm going to use some slides today, Sister Queen, and some videos, some clips and things of that nature. And please understand, this is going to be a dialogue, a conversation. Even if you want to come in and join in, family, you can come in as long as you show respect and all those type of things. And I decide what's respectful and not. Yes, I decide.
I hear you, bro.
And Queen of B also, right? So let's do that. I want to go ahead and share my screen.
Okay, let's go.
And hopefully that pops up.
You guys got to give some grace to Da. He's producing tonight.
Let's say it again. I'm producing tonight.
Yeah, we got to give you some grace, bro. You producing tonight. Let's go.
Give me some grace, right? So is Kamala Black? Is she Black? Episode 12 it's kind of like a 13 episode. If you really, really, really want to say it, because we did a special edition of like on Sunday, go check that out. Subscribe to Black Box Radio on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Same thing. Subscribe to Dr. Dennis Asar Winkler, Dr. Asar Winkler on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Go ahead and like this video, share this video, family, as we're about to get into this thing. I'm telling you, we're about to get into it, and we want you to join us for this conversation, because I've been hearing the conversations go on, and some of them are very interesting. But I get it. I understand this is a very, very important race for many of us. It's our emotions are in this thing, and I understand where we're coming from and all that type of thing. I promise that you will leave here with more ideas, thoughts, and even questions possibly. But I will promise that I'm going to do my best not to give you misinformation. And I'm going to give you the information to the best of my ability. I'm not going to act as if I have more information than I have. But let's talk about it. Let's get this thing on.
Just drop it, bro. Let's just drop it.
So is Kamala Black? I say, let's talk. All right. So let me do this real quick. I wanted to play a video just to get the mood, just moving. I'm a B Morian, so let's do this. How we do this, Queen? All right, let's do this. All right. So I'm trying to do something here. I want to just get. Man, how do I do this? Okay, let me do this. Let me stop this screen. Because this video is not going to play that way, but I got 2 videos before I go there. So let me go here to the dear doctor and get this thing started real quick.
Race, because nature created no races. The whole race is a man-made thing,
Well, how did people get to be French and English?
Well, different climatic conditions and migrations and amalgams of different people, and migrations of people into your country, migrations of people out. All right. Now this is an ethnic grouping against what we call race. If you go back and you look at an old dictionary, you won't even find a definition for a race. Race grew out of the pseudo-scientific development of Europe, and this is what Rogers was addressing himself to, and saying that according to your rule, which is ridiculous, a lot of you belong to us.
Well, in another context, if race is arbitrary, then could we say that being called Black was a political term.
It's a political term and a term which indicates our self-awareness at this juncture in history, and I think we really need it. We need to really bathe in blackness for a while, but I wish we'd get the bath over with and go on to something a little more important, because black in itself is not an ethnic term. Black tells you how you look, but it don't tell you who you are. We are essentially an African people. Wherever we live on this earth, we're essentially an African people. And we relate to the millions of African people throughout the world, including the uncounted millions of Africans in Asia. The word Afro-American or African-American would probably be more appropriate and more honest and more in keeping with what we actually are. Because all of us are not positively, physically, real jet black. And so the argument now sometimes is between the supernationalists and the mild nationalists.
Y'all got what the doc is saying. Let me just go. Y'all got what the doc is saying. He said it's a pseudo-scientific term. He said it is a term that was created. He says maybe we should kind of like relish in it, kind of improve our understanding of ourselves, our self-esteem, and all that type of thing on a group level. But he said, I hope, let's get over with that, and let's not get stuck in that, because race may describe the color of your skin. And I'm going to even suggest that it doesn't even do that really good, to be honest with you, because I have people that's lighter than the whitest person I know that is also considered black. But so race is a very confusing thing. So, so let's keep it moving.
Black, y'all, black, y'all, black, I'm living black, y'all, black and black, y'all, black, y'all, I'm living black, I'm black and black.
So I'm bigly black, y'all. I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Let's get this conversation. Let's keep this conversation going. I'm trying to, Sister Queen said, give me some grace out here in the streets. So I thank you all for doing that as I switch between these different things. But I thought that was pretty interesting. My Baltimore boys. And of course, they had a white guy back there singing He Bigly Black too. So, I mean, it's a social construct. I wonder if he's also saying that he's black. So how do I do this, Queen? I removed this. I thought I'm trying to do a few things at a time here. Okay, I'm wrong thing. Removed from the stage.
What I heard from the great John Henry Clark,
Mm-hmm.
the great, and rest in perfect peace, is what I actually believe also, and that is true. That race is not true. It's nothing. It's a tool. It's divisive. It came out of Europe, and it definitely is something that is used in so many ways. You see all demographics, even when we see something happening, the first thing we say, he was a tall black man, or he was a tall white man. We even defer to race. So it's very important. It's been kind of stamped into us, but it just came about. Trust me, within the last 1,000 years or 500 years. No, it came in when we see 15. So we're saying about 700. So that's not a long time, but you see how it's actually taken over our society, and to the point where this is probably the most important, one of the important races. Because listen, we had Trumpy before. We know what he's capable of. He's coming back. I particularly think they set everything up for him to win, and she threw a wrench in the plans. But we will see. But the race thing, why do we think she's not black? That's the question. Because understand, Jamaicans, they started in Africa. Her mother is South Asian, which is Indian. But where do South Asians come from? First people in India were Africans. So we gotta be careful when we're looking at race and we're not understanding history.
Well, I think that right there has been an argument, Sister Queen, just to let you know if you're not hip to it. I've gotten a video from shared with me from various people what's the guy named Judge Joe Brown? What is his name? Judge Brown. And he is sharing that her father is also of East Indian descent and that her mother is of East Indian descent. So what is he saying? He is saying that although, and I'm going to say
Indian and one's West Indian.
No, so what he is saying is, I'm going to hit mute. What he is saying is that the father, yes, nationalistically was born in Jamaica, but he's an East Indian. And I want us to talk about that a bit here today. And I want to share some things. And I think that one thing I'll just tell you is I've heard Judge Brown many times, and I am not impressed. Judge Joe Brown says some of the most interesting things. In fact, you must know that I'm not saying that I'm supporting Democrats or Republicans, but he has a horse in this race because he's a Trump supporter, from what I know. So he has a certain lens and a certain perspective that he's going to frame this thing or misframe this thing. So just know that, one, right? And two, I'm going to show you some things that Judge Brown spoke about, but I'm also going to show some things that Judge Brown did not necessarily speak. And I'm trying to share my screen, but Queen, do you see my screen at all? Oh, I know what it is. I got to put this up. Here you go. All right. Thank you. All right. So engineering, as Queen said, y'all, give the brother some grace. So I'm going to start the conversation like this. The conversation, Queen, if you could put yourself back on mute, I can hear myself back. The conversation will always be complex when we're talking about race, as there are no definitive measures of blackness. This is me, and I'm saying this. The more we discuss it, the more confusion may arise if we disagree on what constitutes black, because we disagree on what constitutes blackness. Let me say it like that. Consequently, none of us will be entirely wrong, or none of us will be entirely right when it comes to this construct that we call race. Some people have recently argued that not everything requires a scientific or research-based approach. I am saying when we're talking about history, when we're talking about social conditions, when we're talking about issues of race, when we're talking about all these type of things, I don't care if it happened yesterday, it requires a certain methodological approach. And I say especially when it's not about something as distant as the 7th dynasty of Egypt. This is what one of my dear brothers told me. He said, why are you using a scientific method? This didn't happen in the 7th dynasty. It didn't have to happen in the 7th dynasty. It could happen yesterday, and you still use methodology. However, I contend that it is an anti-intellectual stance when one says something like that. We can study contemporary phenomena using various methodologies. The first step is to define what we mean by black. Without a shared understanding of this term, our discussion might be futile, as we might be agreeing on underlying principles while talking past each other due to differing definitions. So what am I saying here? What I'm saying is we might be saying the same thing, but we might not be using terms the same way. Let me say that again. We may be saying the same thing, but using the terms differently. The debate over Kamala Harris' racial identity is more about how others perceive her than about the strict classification. It's essential to recognize that the racial classification system we use originated out of European thought, ideology, mindset. It has been adopted and refined in various ways, particularly by African Americans. I'm black and I'm proud. That's an example. Additionally, it might be worth asking whether she ethnically or culturally is white. You can't even be ethnically or culturally white per se, but we understand that can be something called white culture, if you want to say. But white also is one of those terms that is ambiguous and confuses things. Because as Dr. Clark said, it's really about ethnic groups. So you have Germans, you have Greeks, you have Italians, you have all types of ethnic groups that belong in under this category that we identify as white. And it's also important to understand that, as Queen started off saying, that race is a social construct and social constructs change over time. So there are people who are once considered white who are no longer considered white, and people who were at one time who wasn't considered white are now considered white. And whether she is considered politically black, I don't know what I think I didn't finish my thought there. But nonetheless, some argue that they are adhering to the one drop rule, and some are saying they're not. Okay, I don't know what I don't get the argument per se. I do get it, but if you're not adhering to the one drop rule, then you have to create a new rule. What is that rule? If you're not adhering to the one drop rule, you must be measuring it a different way. Because if you're saying you're not adhering to the one drop rule, which most people kind of follow universally up to more recent, but there's no other. What are the other rules? There might be some other rules, but what I'm saying is, what rule are you utilizing? It's very difficult to have these conversations when you don't share your methodological approach. Most of us don't use DNA tests to determine our ethnic or cultural backgrounds. And what I'm saying is, well, let's say this. That last statement, cross it out. I need to proofread that. But what I'm saying is, you are not going to get a DNA test to prove our our racial background. Just not. You can get a DNA test to show what parts of the world your ancestor and ancestry may come from, and those type of things. And then you might say, well, these people in this region were more likely what we now today consider white or European, but more specifically, some ethnic group, not necessarily a black person or a white person or a yellow person or whoever. And then we also get very confused with ethnicity, race, nationality, all these type of things. So let's look at this word construct. And Queen, please jump in here whenever you're ready, okay? Let's look at the word construct. And there's various words for construct, because we often talk about this thing as that race is a social construct. And if you go down to the bottom, when it talks about a noun, at the bottom, the first definition says a construct is an idea or theory. So you said it's hard.
You got to read it. It's hard to see. Yeah,
I'm reading it. So thank you. A construct is an idea or theory. A construct is an idea or theory containing various conceptual elements, typically one considered to be subjective and not based on empirical evidence. And this is how race kind of started, right? It's a construct, right? And race is not the same construct. The way we use it today is not the way that it was created in the first place. It's constructed. A construct is something that you probably can't always touch it, but you can define. You can kind of define a thing. Something like love. Let's think about love. What is love? I love you, Queen. What does love mean, Queen? Love is a construct. Intelligence is a construct. In various ways, people debate and how these things are measured. Although there's some agreed upon ways to measure these things. So if we do not have the same methodology or means of measuring what we identify as race, then we'll just continue to spin our wheels and debate. And many times probably saying the same thing, but using different definitions for the same thing. So let's go.
So let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
So are you posing that the regular person like me, that we have to have a methodology before we can weigh into the race conversation? Because most folks are just going by black, white,
yes,
yellow.
I am saying that if you're going to jump in the conversation with people who are on and representing yourself as a person who is speaking on, I'm hearing myself back. So if you are going to weigh on this conversation as an expert or a person just speaking, at least understand what you mean by what you're saying. If you're going to say something, I'm just saying, let's make sure we're having the same definition. Let's operationalize what we mean by black. Because other than that, we're just going to continuously talk about it. And nobody's going to be wrong. Nobody's going to be right. We're just going to be talking past one another. If you want to do it as a what you call an average person or whatever you call it, average people can say, look, this is what I mean by black, and this is what you mean by black. That's what I'm saying. So if we agree on, if we can come to some consensus on what we mean by black, then maybe the conversation will become a lot more productive.
But on a social level, are people doing that? That's the question.
Well, yeah, they are.
Let's be realistic about conversation. And conversation, in conversation, where most people aren't using methodologies while they speak, they're just speaking, unfortunately, from of course their lived experience or who they've been told who they are. And this conversation about black and white is consuming. It's a daily conversation, and particularly I can define my black and someone can define their black. It's still going to be skewed by the America that we live in.
Well, I'm saying when we're having these conversations, when you and I, or if you go into a platform with somebody to have this conversation, let's first make sure we're saying the same thing. That's simple. Other than that, you might as well not have the conversation. Nobody's going to be wrong. Nobody's going to be right, because everybody's saying what they want to say, that no one's defining what they mean by it. What does black mean to Queen? Let's start right here. Let's do it right now. What does black mean to Queen?
Black is black box. Black is when you mean color people, I consider myself black, but I know I'm American African. That's my thing. But black is it's not a bad thing.
So who qualifies and disqualifies as being black? That's what I'm asking you.
I think who disqualifies it? I think that's a personal thing.
Who is disqualified?
Don't call
me and you are having a conversation right now. I'm not talking about in theory. I'm talking about you and I are having this conversation right now.
Yeah. And like I said, it depends on the person and how they...
No. I'm saying you and I are having this conversation right now. What would disqualify someone to not being black? Like in your book.
Is black?
Yeah.
If you're not African, you're not black. Everything African is black.
So what about Northern Africans?
They're black.
Even the ones that are white?
Well, they're light, but they're black.
Even the Arabs?
Yeah. Arabs is not particularly has nothing to do with your ethnicity. That's is that an ethnic group? I'm not sure, so I can't say about that.
Yeah.
If you're from Africa, you started in Africa, and you are of color, you are black.
So now, what happens?
Every human started and watch it, Andre. Andre says she don't know. Watch it, Andre. What I will say is, he says she don't know. I do know. What I'm saying is anything that came out of Africa is considered to be black. Now, there's so many colors in Africa, but also all people are descendants of Africa, all people. So we're talking about, if we want to get uniquely and pull all the layers back about our Africanness, then everybody has some African in them, because we all are Africans. Now, my thing is if you're black, you're African and you're black to me. So
okay, so
Jamaicans are black.
The Jamaicans are black.
Yeah, when I work in the medical field, do they not break it up from where you are? They call everyone black.
Okay,
white
so
South Africans migrated to South Africa.
I think we have to be clear though. What about Asian people who live in Jamaica?
That's the truth. If you're from Africa, you're black.
No. Queen, leave them alone. Like, we're having a conversation.
I got to mess with Andre because he said she.
Well, hold on. We're gonna go back to Andre because I want us to have. And first, let me ask you a question first and foremost. I am not specifically speaking about those people who call themselves lay folk. I'm speaking about those who are on the mic, like Judge Joe Brown, who is spewing information out here, who is saying. So, so what I'm saying is, I'm not saying he's right. I'm not saying he's wrong. But what I am saying, I will say this: I feel like some of his information from the clip I've heard several times that people sent to me is leaving out some things, and I don't know if it's intentional or not. But I also know that if we can't agree on a definition, I'm not even talking about 20,000 people outside of us. I'm talking about me and you, Queen. So if a person is black, I'm going to suggest that all Jamaicans are not black, because I know that there's people in Jamaica that are more indigenous. I know that there's people in Jamaica that are from Asia, from various forms of Asia. You know, my wife even
Chinese Jamaicans.
Say it again.
It's a lot of Chinese Jamaicans, of course. They have a huge Chinese population that speak Patois and they're in Jamaica. Yes.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the folks who were dropped off.
Okay. So these are the folks that you're speaking about, right?
Yes.
So that's why you just can't say Jamaican. You can say it, and I think most people, and I think most people know what you mean when you say that, right? But we have to be clear. Because if we're not clear, then that's where this is what I'm saying. We are talking past each other and not really understanding the conversation.
But if you clear that, it's hard to clear that when you have to say, because if you say Jamaica, okay, just like Africa, Northern Africa, you can go on the Ivory Coast. They're very light. It's some light people in Africa.
And some of them are not.
Blonde-haired tribe in Africa. These are black people, though.
No, and they're considered. I get what you're saying.
Them black people. So you can't just say that you have to quantify them because Africa is so colored.
No, I didn't even say quantify. It clearly said that we can't quantify it. I said we have to operationalize, me come together with this definitions that we can, a consensus of what black is. And there's people in Africa that are not black or considered African, such as people, especially people in Northern Africa and even Southern Africa, those who invaded, who were born there. Because if you're born on a continent, now I'm not saying the original African, I am not saying African spirit as we talk about it, but I'm saying how the word African is used. You can be on any continent in this world and be a part of that particular the countries in that continent. So you could be born in Mexico tomorrow and you'll be Mexican. You'll just be a African, Afro Mexican, or whatever you want to call it, right? But nonetheless, I think we have to be, so the first part, we have to be very clear. And I don't think it takes as much as I think you probably you thinking I'm saying. All I'm saying is we have to agree on something, on some simple things to really truly have a conversation. That's all. Okay, so what is a social construct? A social construct is it says here, and you see my source right below it. It says a social construct is a concept that exists not in objective reality, but as a result of human interaction. Put another way, it exists because humans agree that it exists. This is what we're talking about. Because humans agreed that it exists. It says psychologists and social scientists study socially constructed realities to better understand how groups of people create social phenomena. They seek to understand how people participate in the construction and institutionalization of their perceived reality. This perceived reality and how we shape things and how we conceptualize things are many times what we call social constructs. And race is another one of those social constructs. I'm going to take this person's comment off the screen. And social constructs can change, as I spoke about earlier. A social construct can include the values and beliefs of humans and what humans have about the construct. Additionally, humans can alter the construct as they continue to interact with the world. Race, again, is one of those constructs that can change. For example, attitudes towards people with different skin colors have changed over time, and they continue to change. The construct of race still exists, but what the construct means has changed. And the only way it changes is due to what we believe and what we have made, we've agreed upon as a collective group of people. So race is one of those very interesting things that still exists, and it happens to depend on how people see you more than how you truly can measure it biologically. And people see it differently. That's a reality. People see race differently. Some examples of social constructs: race, money, countries, and some say gender. And gender is a highly debated one, but I understand it, because the example that women are supposed to do these things and men are supposed to do these things, girls do these things, boys do these things. So we agree upon what men do and what women do, what girls do and what boys do. But they might change depending on where you show up in the world. Like, men don't hold hands in America, in the United States at least, especially like black men. They don't hold hands. But you go to Africa or some other place, that construct changes because men actually do those things, and you're not looked at in any interesting ways. So let's get to the meat and the potatoes. This is what Dr. Judge Joe Brown and other people are sharing this picture, and they're saying, well, look, they giving what the Almond Ross Squad, the lookership type of analysis. So, Queen, what do you see here?
I see a black man with an Indian woman.
You see a black man
with the Indian woman.
Okay. Just to let you know, lots of people are saying, including Judge Brown, they're using this photo to say that that man is of East Indian descent, not West Indian. He's East Indian descent in the West Indies.
That might be true, but what I see, now remember, I met her father. So I know I seen.
Tell me more. Tell me. Go ahead. Drop that.
I seen him with my own eyes. So, but I clearly can, from this picture here, he looks like a black man. He looks like an uncle of mine, and the mother clearly looks South Asian. Clearly, so, and that's the mix that you see in Kamala. Actually, she looks more like her father to me, especially when I saw him in person, than the mother.
So say it again.
She looks more like her father to me than she does her mother. She has the father creamy skin. She looks more like the father to me. But what I will say, from what I'm looking at in front of me, I don't see a man. He does not look South Asian to me, which is Indian.
Not a bit.
Indian, East Indian. They're South Asians. That's what they are. And so, to me, she looks South Asian, and he looks black.
So when they say
Jamaica, it could be Trinidad, it could be anywhere, but he looks black to me. Now I don't know what does the chat say what he looks like, but to me, it looks like black to me. Look at the man's father and grandfather. That's what Child of God says. So I don't know.
So so what I'm saying here again is this is one of those conversations that we're just not going to agree on. Not you and I, Queen. But I'm saying, I think one thing you have an advantage. You said you met this brother, right? You met him, and from your in-person experience, she looks more like her father than she looks like her mother. Now, I think some of us are really being unfair, to be honest with you. I don't think some of us are being as complex. And I'm not saying that I agree with Kamala, or I definitely damn sure don't agree with Trump. But I mean, let me just be clear. I understand. I struggle to understand why people can't identify that Trump is toxic. I mean, but at the same time, I understand why people don't, because people want to be in proximity with somebody like Trump. But Trump is very clearly, overtly at times, racist. I mean, like, clearly. Now, you can say things about Kamala, but let's keep it real. She has a lot more tact than.
And he's not very smart. I don't know what the proximal thing is. He's not even. He's
power. He represents a certain. He's attractive to us. to many of us. I'm saying us because he represents what people feel it. If you can put it on mute. Yeah. So he represents what we feel as powerful, bold, brave, tough, all these type of things. So people like that. They want to know that their president will represent them. And then some of us like them because we think we're in different income brackets and things of that nature. So I'm going to reap the benefits during tax time. And some of us, all different reasons why people like him. But he's clearly racist, though. He, even if he doesn't even know he's racist. It's clear. But on Kamala, on the other hand, I see why so many of us have hope. I see why so many of us have this connection. That so many different reasons why. One, she looks like you. You can't deny that she looks like a black woman. What we identify as a black woman. You just can't. If you're saying she doesn't look like one, you're not being honest. She looked like your auntie. She looked like your auntie. So what you say? You never said what you think black is, my brother. I'm continuing to go. I am telling you what black is. Hold up, Queen. Can you do that? Oh, you about to say something? Go ahead, Queen. So the brother says, you never said what you think black. I'm going to get there, but I've already said what it is. And what I mean is a social construct that nobody will ever, not all of us will ever agree on it. But I am also going to share with you that Judge Joe Brown is not being honest. Let's keep that at the buck. Let's do it like that. Because I know some of us and lots of us seen this thing that Judge Joe Brown has said, but he's not being honest. All I did was go and get a book. I bought the book yesterday. I ain't read the whole book, but I went through it. And I started searching for certain terms and different things and all these type of things. And let's keep it a buck. Kamala in the book, now it was only written in 2020, but her mother, from Kamala's own words, raised her as a black woman in with plenty of black people around her. Now, does that make Kamala the best candidate or the candidate we want to vote for, that Kamala won't hurt black people? No. Because we understand that Clarence Thomas, I don't think anybody thinks Clarence Thomas not black. Let's say the way that we're judging it, but we know that maybe socio-politically he doesn't represent us. Now let's keep it a buck that Kamala is a little bit more confusing because she has a little bit more tact. But we understand that when people operate in these systems, they do things to stand on places, get to those places, and do all those type of things. But this is not the conversation today. The conversation is, is Kamala black? And if you want to know my answer, it just depends. My answer is, it depends on what you identify as black. You ain't going to get nothing better than that. It depends on how you assess what black is. So now, see, even Queen is saying that this brother here looks like a black brother to her, while his mother clearly, if we clearly look at her mother, we can see some features that has her, as Queen said, as being of South Asian descent, aka Eastern Indian, not what the Indians and the Tainos and the Arawak and all those that we find in the quote unquote nowadays West, So let's keep moving. So Queen, I agree with you on this picture. I think he's a bit ambiguous though, but I think on this picture, I can see that there's some ambiguity there, but I can't deny that I see that kinky hair popping up on his head in the background. I can't deny that. Now, race is a very interesting construct, but I think his hair would, if we're utilizing Linnaeus and Blumenbach's definition and stratification system and all these type of things, he checks a lot of those boxes. Go ahead, Queen.
I think we should. Some of these comments in the chat is very interesting. I don't think Judge Joe Brown has official and what anybody thinks. He can think what he's want. He's always spoke from his chest and straight out his neck. So what he says doesn't particularly have any weight. He's just running his mouth as he always has. But I'm not saying I hate Judge Joe Brown, but I don't listen. He's not the official for what black is or for what anything is. How about that? That's what I'm saying. Number two is like I see Kish T says, so black is fluid now. Black is a feeling.
Hold on. Go ahead, Queen. Go ahead.
I don't think black is a feeling. I don't think it's fluid. And I don't think it's just black comes from the Africans that came to America. Only 8% of African people were dropped off in America. So we're talking about Brazil. We're talking about South America. We're talking about Central America. We're talking about the Caribbean.
Black.
So to say that the only thing that makes you black is that if you are from the American slave is nonsensical.
And that's not even the argument, right? Well, that's not the
argument. I saw this here by Andre.
Well, some people will say that though.
Well, that's what he said. I can put it up.
Put it up for me if I can talk to it.
He said we are saying descendants of North American slaves black. That's it. No. In other parts of the world, it's tribe before country and country before continent, and makes them not black.
I think what he was. I think I saw him put this up much earlier, and I think what he was responding to was how do we identify and measure blackness?
Actually, I understand that, but he's saying we are saying descendants of North American slaves, black. That's it. Everybody else isn't black. That's what he's saying.
Well, I mean, we can have that conversation though. The good thing about I don't have to agree with him, Andre's sister,
we
right?
Definitely have that,
but because at least where I do respect though, I can't have a conversation with him though because he at least identified what he is operationalizing as black. I don't have to agree with that. But now I know how to have the conversation with him because he has identified what black means to him.
We understand that. But what I'm saying is of only 8% of those Africans that came through the Middle Passage, which were deposited in America, then what do we do for the other? Well, 91%. So they're not African.
Yeah, go back. He'll tell you what he told you what to do with them. I'm not saying I agree with it, but he told you what to do with them.
Okay. Well, whatever. Well, that's what I'm saying. I think that we black is it's been universal to African people.
Yeah.
And that's people who have tinted brown skin or beige skin. And as I look at her father here, he reminds me of a black man. He reminds me of my uncle, actually. I don't see much South Asian in him. I see a black man.
Do you see any South Asian in him?
Not much. No, I don't. I see it in the mother. I see her hair, her features. And that's a black and white picture. So you really have to see the features.
I think you make a lot. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
If I see him, I would not say, "Oh, that guy is." He's South Asian. No.
Now with this picture though, I can see how people could start to question some things.
That brother got a fro. When you got a fro, what you questioning?
Well,
I never seen a South Asian with a fro.
I'm gonna tell you that. Well, that's not true, right? And I'll
South
say
Asian?
no. Yes. So
No.
what I was going to also say is if you study India, there's actually very dark, very black people that live in there, especially in more the southern regions of India.
I work with one, very dark.
And I'm talking about with kinky hair and all.
I've never seen them with a fro. I've seen kinky hair, but never fro. Not like this.
Well,
never.
He's in America at this point doing a different. Those people that I'm talking about are like more tribal folk, right? But they're blacker than me, you, him, and everybody on this picture. They're less ambiguous than all of us. I am saying from what I see here, I can see how people immediately look at that with a narrative that he's a South Asian, and I can see how people might get tricked to believe that, right? And I can see why they would do that, especially if they have a problem with Kamala's politics. But I think that you can have a problem with one's politic and also just be real honest about other things. Let's talk about that. Let's keep moving. So here's her father again. Hey, Queen, can you drop?
Come on, black man.
Okay, so this is her father again.
What's South Asian there? That's a black man right there, bro.
Okay, so this is a different looking picture, right?
No,
and I'm saying no. Well, for me, this is for me. For others. He looks darker. Is a color picture. It's some difference here. You can see more texture in this picture as far as coloration. You see less texture as it pertains to the hair, though, but you do see, some things is different. And you say that for you, he looks black, and that's that. But they are saying this guy is South Asian. In fact, some people are just saying Indian and actually conflating more indigenous people here and indigenous people in South Asia.
And he is actually Dr. Harris, so he is a PhD.
Yes.
Daddy. Yeah.
Yes. In economics.
Mm-hmm. And so he really, to me, as I said, I am seeing a black man. Kamala, to me, is a black woman, but it does not mean that it's gonna translate to being a champion for black people. I don't believe that. I don't believe her or Trumpy. None of them would be in that position if they were champion for Africans. So we could fight all day about race, but they're there because they are tools for the folks who really make the decisions. So
two things.
That's what
for you. So for you, you're saying that she's black, but she's also there as a result of her politics, not necessarily being exclusive, beneficial for black people.
Her ability to carry out and stay on brand with America.
Okay, to maintain the status quo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, as my father says, my wife's hair is just like. What did he say here? I saw him, and my wife's hair is just like hers. I would say my mother's hair is a lot more of less kinky than Kamala's, a lot less kinky than Kamala's. But yes, and if you saw my mother, you would probably say, "What is she?" But nonetheless, my mother's black. She identifies as black. She is black. She has a black daddy and a black mommy. And that's how she identifies. So let's keep moving. Queen, I promise you, just do some deep breathing and we're going to get somewhere. We're going to get there, Queen. Don't worry. Now, this is where...
We're 52 minutes in, bro.
Look, we got time. If you got to go, that's fine. I'm good. When I was 10 months old, look, the people are here, Queen. They listening to this thing. So we're going to give the people good information. When I was 10 months old, I visited Spanish Town, Jamaica. This is me with my mother and my paternal grandfather, Oscar Joseph. What do you say about Oscar, Queen? And we'll move past it quickly. We won't stay on it too long.
What his appearance?
Yes.
Oscar Joseph looks like a black man.
He looks like a black man.
Yes.
Does he look
like the old mayor of Atlanta?
Okay.
But he has that wet wash hair too. But he looks like him.
Okay. What is it? Wet wash hair?
That's what I call it. Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, I mean, he has a lighter kink.
A lighter kink.
A lighter kink of hair. But this guy looks like a black man. And she still looks South Asian.
Do you see why some people might say, well, he might be...
These pictures are black and white. So that's what really, when you color the picture, show the color picture of the father, he looked really black. So, the black and white pictures, of course, take away from the color.
I agree.
But I definitely, if I were to see him, I would think that he was a black man. I would have to see more definitely.
And I think that's fair, right? But now the narrative though is that, because again somebody said, she said earlier, I got to respond to that. So it was like, also now black is fluid. It's always been fluid. I'm sorry, I'm saying yes. It's always been fluid since we've been on the plantation. is a very fluid construct. Some of us who identify as Black today, if you were to go and look at your ethnicity or take your DNA test, you will realize that some of us are a lot more European than we think. Again, which these constructs, huh?
That's a not Queen of B.
Well, I guarantee, I know you're not 100.
100, bro.
Most of us are around 75, I think 80%. In the United States, 99%. Right? And some of us are, when we get our test results back, we're upset.
I'm not taking that test.
It becomes a very scary thing for us, because when we get our results back, we realize that we have more European ancestry than we have African ancestry. And again, African ancestry and European ancestry, these aren't even races, but we have more. Oh, Dr. Maya
says she's 98.6.
Dr. Maya, black.
Yeah, that's right. We Black.
Hey, Doc, you gonna have to say, Doc, send me those records over. Let me see. Oh God, Dr. Maya say, but yeah, Doc knows it's true that most of us in this country, on this continent, like 75-80%.
Yeah, that's true.
African ancestry.
We've been around the others for a minute. We've been infiltrated. That's
okay. Where I differ is, I would say this guy looks culturally ambiguous. So I can imagine when somebody says a thing like Judge Brown, and we go and we look at this thing, and we see him as being something a bit. Well, somebody can just say what he is. You can say he's Puerto Rican. You can say he's Arawak. You can say he's lots of things, and he'll just kind of fit it just because we don't know, especially from this picture. And pictures are not, and this is what Dr. Judge Brown also brought highlight, that his great grandmother, Iris Finnegan, huh?
Let's ask about her. What she looks like. That's
so but see. So now you're sharing. See, you are a little bit more confident in that blackness just there.
Confident all of them are being Black.
No,
your dad and this lady here. Now the father, I'm not sure, because he looked ambiguous. I can agree. The grandfather, great grandmother, and her father looks Black to me.
So they would say, well, and Dr. Brown was saying that, Judge Brown was saying that this is not enough. But again, it depends on how you define Black. We'll continue to fight this fight, argue this argument, but if we don't have the same operational definitions, we'll continue to fight. But this is where he kind of said, I don't care if you have a great grandmother that's Black. That's kind of how he left it. And this is the picture. And he's, in other words, one can assume that what he's saying is you had to go that far back for her to have an African ancestor, or one of African ancestry, or clearly African ancestry. But
some of us are the same. But the question is she Black?
Let's keep going, Queen. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. That's her other side of the family. I don't have to say no more about that. That's her and her sister. That's her and her sister. So in 70, what I will say is, again, Kamala, from what I've read, whether or not I agree with her politics or not, she was raised to be Black. She was raised multiculturally, though. But she also was raised to be proud of her Blackness. Now, I think it kind of depends, and this is why I'm saying she was raised even multiculturally to a degree. She was part of a school that she spoke about in her book and all those type of things. Busting, I think that Judge Brown said she wasn't, because she was in Canada. Look, he might have some research that I don't have, but this is what she is documented in her book. She says, my class at Thousand Oaks Elementary School was only the second in Berkeley to be integrated. This is Mrs. Wilson's first grade that made me the middle in the white sweater. He said from Spanish Town. Absolutely. If he's from Spanish Town, he Black. if you know about Spanish Town, of like my wife and them, please excuse the word. My wife put me down with the word coolie. My wife actually called me said, you remind me of like my cousins who were coolie when she met me, right? You know, coolies, you know, have a little wavy hair and all that type of thing. So I think that you could look at Kamala's paternal grandfather and say, maybe he's a coolie if he's not black, you know? Minister Stephanie Samuel says, no, she's not black. Again, we have to be able to identify and operationalize what we mean by black. Because we can't have the argument if we don't have a shared agreement upon what black means.
When Sister Samuel says she's not black.
So now I'm going to say this, though. I would say you have to say she's at least partly black. Not this new argument that's coming out to say she's not black and not black at all because she has two South Asian parents, which is not true completely. It's not true completely because this is her. And then look, you see her mother to the left and you see these children. So she was raised culturally, in some instances, at least with a black collective around her. Now, if you're saying she's not 100% FBA, I can agree with your definition of FBA, right? Foundational Black American, because there's a definition that FBA uses where they don't consider people who are from outside of the U.S., first generation immigrants or what have you, or children, as being FBA. So there's no argument there. If you can choose to define how you want to define. So clearly, from the definitions I've heard about FBA, she's not FBA. Now, that's because the foundational piece is in there. Now, can you say she's a Black American? That is up for debate. Now, is she foundational Black American? From the definitions I've heard, absolutely not. But you see here, right? Looks like
my question with the foundational and the ADOS, what are we achieving? What is the payoff for the phylums? Foundational Black, ADOS, African. What are we achieving?
Well, ADOS and foundational and ADOS are very similar from what I understand.
And this is what I don't understand is we continue to find ways to emulate Europeans. So within our own Blackness, now we have phylums of almost like a requirements. So well, if you brown, you Black. If you white, if you pink or cream, you're white. Now if your foundation, if you came to America and you were a slave, that makes you foundation, that makes you Black. If you ADOS, you're this. What are we achieving?
Well, yeah, and I think that the term itself, without it being politicized and misused and abused, there's not a problem. But the way it's been used to cause separation at times becomes the issue. There's no problem with saying that my family we're descendants of African people who were enslaved in America. There's no problem with being able to identify that. Just like there's no problem to say I come from I'm African descendant of Jamaica or whatever, those type of things. There's no problem with doing that. But it's when we're causing issues and causing division and separation. It's no problem, because I think that inside those frameworks, there's some important things that we can learn, but I also see others use them in ways that causes unnecessary strife between Black people in the diaspora or Africans in the diaspora, right?
And I just put the link up. If someone wants to, if you want to come in and I gave the link. Come on and come see us.
Okay.
We done with the slide,
no, we're not done. You slow down. I got this.
I said, was we done with that slide? That's all.
No. So my favorite pleather jacket, she says.
That's a
this
Black
is her. That was Kamala.
That was a Black little girl.
And but read, Queen. Can you take that comment off the thing? I can find it. But that's her cousin's, Queen, or her family in Jamaica. So we hear about the grandmother, right? we hear about the grandmother. Doc, you something. So Dr. Mayat provided receipts. So I didn't get to read them yet, but I trust her. So this is her family, Queen. What do you say? I can't hear you, Queen.
Black up and fact up.
Black up and fact up. So this is her. These are her cousins hanging out with my family in Jamaica. Maya's off to the right. So we spoke about her great grandmother, but these are like somewhere like more like her peers or her cousins or something like that, which still have some very African features, black features, whatever you want to call it. Right? So, all right, that's her. That's her. That's her.
Black girl, bro.
That's her sister. That's her. That's her at Howard. She said
I think it's unfortunate that we would not say she's black.
I would say
what we can say is that doesn't mean that her politics would benefit the African or the American African. That's what I will say. But to say she's not black, come on. To me, she is black. She looks black to me. And we go and we look at the parents, the grandparents of foundational ADOS. She looks like a black woman. When I see her talking now, she looks like a black woman. Her policies, I'm not sure about. I don't trust her or Trumpy. But what I will say is she looks black. And to me. So
I would say, so for me to answer, I'm sorry, for me to answer this question, so those of us can be clear, I would say that she's black because she definitely has African ancestry. She also identifies as, let's say, Indian. So two things existing at one time. We understand black in and of itself is a racial category where if you're Indian is more of an ethnicity.
We got a guest too. When you're ready, we can bring them in. We have a guest.
Okay, that's cool. Mm-hmm. And guess what?
Visiting my paternal grandmother, Barrow, and that's black up.
That looked like a
and
lot
you
of
tell me if the dad came from this lady.
So Dr. Joe, said her great grandmother all the way right? But he didn't say about the mother, the grandmother. And look at Kamala's hair. Kamala, if she's not black completely, she does, and she has been reared and a part of black culture. I would say that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even deny it that she's culturally, whether or not I agree with her politics or not, and I don't, and as my brother Reginald Burrell said, there's some things that we can question about, her policies. Yes. But at the same time, that does not mean that a person is not, quote unquote, at least partly black. But if she says she's black and she identifies as black, then she's black.
She's black.
Because at the end of the day, many of us can go and debate. We don't have to start pulling each other's ethnic charts, as Dr. Mayat just sent to me, right? We just had to start pulling these things. You know what I'm saying? Because
Ancestry in me was bought by BlackRock.
Say it again.
I said Ancestry in me was sold to BlackRock.
So even if you got so then even with Dr. Mayat, and what is she at? Go to her comment. She said, peace, Doc. I see her saying peace now. So I think she put something in there like 98.6%. What's the other 2%, Doc? What's the other 2%, Doc?
Well, she corrected that. She corrected that.
Oh, what did she say it was?
Yeah, she corrected that.
What's that?
We got a lot of comments in this joint.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't know what you mean. What did she correct? I'm sorry.
She said, I think it was 93% or something.
Oh, so even it's 93, what's the other 8% or whatever? Yeah. So I'm just saying, right? So then where do we start? I can agree with have the conversations with people, but we have to have some terms that we identified that we can agree upon. We can't just be having conversations nilly-willy, or willy-nilly, however you say it, and not have a starting point. Other than that, there's no reason to even have the argument. I can at least say, without a shot of a doubt, that she's been reared and around Black culture, even with her mother that's Indian. She has receipts to show that, in a sense. And maybe this is what she was trying to do with this book. And she talks about her teachers. Graduated from the University of California, Hastings College of Law in May of 1989. My first grade teacher, Miss Wilson, came to cheer me on. My mom was pretty proud too. You see her hair? I mean, I'm just saying, as much as we can do the lookership thing versus the scholarship thing, you clearly can see that culturally, Kamala had some Black and American culture. All right. She's still with all the people supporting her, even though we may not agree with her politics in California, which all of us would probably.
Well, that's older than aunts right there.
But some of her aunts and uncles are more of her community aunts and uncles. Like when you read the book, I'm not sure about the people here. I know I think Aunt Mary is like one of her community. Not sure about Uncle Freddie. But yeah, she has a community of Black people that she grew up with. Her mother moved into a Black type of community. And this is her mother. You can almost say what she look like. What the lookership, what does she look like?
Look like to me.
The mom?
I love having my mother. Now today, mom colored in a color picture, mama looks Black.
I think that's that wig. I think the way she has her hair cut. But yes, so I'm saying that we can look at these things and think that we're making points, but we're not making points. We have to be able to identify what we mean by Black. Other than that, we're not having good conversations. We're just talking.
Well, Doc Breezy says you got to choose the lesser evils, even if more Black than Trump. That's all I really take care of.
She put here, she's at the courthouse on the day of our marriage with my family, left to right. Tony on the far left. I mean, that he Black. Aunt China, Maya. I mean, China, you can tell got some East Indian or South Asian. Maya, I think, which is that, her sister. If y'all don't say that sister is Black, oh y'all playing games. Come on now. I'm saying even from the lookership, which I say is not necessarily that conclusive, but just looking at her, like there's nothing about that sister to the left of her that you saying is white. I mean anything besides Black, with the just looking at them, right? All right, which is her sister. All right, y'all. So this is the last thing. I'm gonna stop here, Queen. And what I want to do is I want to speak about Blackness for just a second, and then I'll open it back up.
Okay, I'll be right back.
There's various models of being Black. This particular model is the cross-expanded model of nigressence. He has it's measurable, right? And what William Cross has put together in his theory and also tested through research is that there's various ways that Black people identify within the group. And I mean, let's say we want to debate how people show up. Black people identify differently. Some of us even are considered assimilationists. We identify with the United States nationality over our Blackness. That's what assimilationist ideal or attitude would be. Some of us are miseducated, or we have miseducation attitudes where we accept negative stereotypes of the dominant culture here in the United States, where we believe negative things about Black people because we internalize the narratives that have been shared widely through all the institutions and systems in this country, our educational systems, the media, all types of systems, our religious systems, all the above. Then some of us have more self-hatred type of identity, where we have negative views about our group and self. Where although we might say we black, but we think we the ones that say black saying N-I-G-G or E-R's, they ain't S-H-I-T. And then we have those who are anti-white, what some people will call it's like a phase that and guess what? Let me back up a bit. And it's not like you have to be cleanly in one category or the other, but there's probably something dominant. Then there's anti-white, where people just can't stand nothing about white culture, white people, white sugar, white salt, anything white. Some people identify more as like that. That's Queen right there. So then there's those of us who say we're Afrocentric or African-centered. To a degree, one believes that other blacks should adopt Afrocentric principles. Yeah, Queen might fall into that one a little bit as well. You know what I mean? I think I fall into that one myself. Then there's those who are more multicultural, inclusive black people. They accept being black while also being open to engage with other cultural groups. Now, we can even measure this. Now, I'm not saying, Queen, that everybody has to measure this, but keep the real work up to the professionals then, Queen, if you don't want to do the work. So don't talk about it if you don't want to do the work. You know, so what I'm saying is that's a joke. You know, continue to talk. But there's those of us are multicultural inclusive. They accept being black while also open to engage with other cultural groups. I would probably suggest that Kamala, in her blackness, even is more of a multiculturalist. In many ways, even
she's married to a white guy. She has to have and has, you know, step white kids, so she has to be multicultural.
Okay.
I mean, you marry a white man. I mean, it makes sense. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's what she is married to.
Okay. So you just affirming what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you're not just affirming, you're bringing the data, the information to support it. You're bringing the receipts.
Yeah.
So I would say she falls. I would say she falls in that. But just to be clear, family, because I know I was here and I've been talking for a while. I would say that Kamala, the way that she has identified herself in the book, it's typically black first, with Jamaican and Indian and Jamaican ethnic origin or ethnic or origin or something like that. I can't think of the way that they put in the book, but it's black, then it's an Indian or and Jamaican origin, culture, ethnicity, so on and so forth. So I can't say she's not black, even if she's half black. I can't say if she's black. I just can't say she's not black, even if she's half black. I think clearly these pictures show that Kamala's been around some black folk and there's some black folk in her family if we're using the test that we utilize. Now, other than that, I don't know what y'all going with, but I am submitting that Judge Joe Brown has left out some pieces. Queen, back to you.
So let's give up Judge Joe Brown, because he's not official. So what do you think she is? That's the question.
I just said that. I just closed out with it.
No, you didn't really say it. Just say today. I don't understand what you said. I can't understand. You know, I'm not. So tell me, are you saying that she's black or she's a multiculturalist? What is she? What is she to you? Just say it.
Everything you just said. She's multiculturalist for sure. Inclusive and accepts being black while also open to engage with other cultural groups.
So do you consider Kamala Harris a black woman? Yes.
I consider her to be black because she identifies as black and has identified as black, but I'm not, but also, and also of South Asian descent and also Jamaican descent.
We know that. We know her. We see who she comes from. We see where she started. We can see that. We're clear that the father is Jamaican and with clear or East or maybe with East and maybe South Asian origins, who knows? And the mother is particularly South Asian.
Right.
The question though is, do you consider Kamala Harris a black woman? That's the question, bro.
You're not going to have me answer it in a simple way because I'm going off of how she identifies. I'm going by how she identifies.
Yeah, but this is not about. It doesn't say how does Kamala Harris black. It says, is she black, bro?
I don't have to subscribe to the way that people want me to answer the question.
Okay, well, I say Kamala Harris is a black woman. I'm saying that her policies might not be black.
I can see why people say she mixed. So Dr. Mott did a show and she said she's mixed. I can't debate that.
I can't neither, but I
can debate
of a black woman.
What I can debate is what Judge Joe Brown said, which is false. And so because she identifies as a black woman, and it's times that people seeing her also identify as an Indian woman. So she identifies with all of it. So she's all of it. But she's also black. But she's also black because she identifies as black.
All right. Whatever that means. That'll work. She's mixed. She's black. I think she's black. I think the process is this conversation is so fluid. I think we can all have our thoughts of what Kamala Harris is. What we need to focus on, what's she going to do? And she has a history. You can go back and look at her policies because she's been in office a very long time. And we just have to be careful that when we see something that might look like us, walk like us, talk like us, and think that they're going to advocate for us. I think her nor Trumpy are in that position if they were advocates for African people. So you vote for who you want to vote for, but I'm very clear that we better be careful. That's what I will say.
Queen, I'm looking for this comment to take off the screen. Do you have it near you?
There's so many comments.
I'm trying to take the one off the screen.
We can, but when we bring to Obama or Kamala, now immigrants are taking over and working for the white man. Are we done with this?
Yeah, you can. I'm trying to take this off the screen for I can. Okay, let's do it like this. I
removed it. So Gemma 93 says that Obama or Kamala, then they're immigrants, so they're taking over and working for the white man. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. It says, but when we bring to Obama or Kamala, now immigrants are taking over and working for the. Okay, I don't know what that means. But
yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about that. This right, DJ Big says, what does she identify herself on her birth certificate to avoid the guessing game versus what she calls herself when she's with various groups? She didn't write the birth certificate; her parents did.
Well,
so I mean, if we just go to everybody's birth certificate, your parents write that. Your baby. I mean, or the people register you as this. I mean, so I don't know.
She has a book, and she speaks to her identity in that book. Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay. And of course, Dr. Beyonce says she's mixed. So that's how she feels.
And guess what? And she said, and it's okay. It is okay.
It is.
Now, if she doesn't identify as mixed, I won't say she's mixed, but I do understand why people would say that she's mixed. I do understand it. But I can't understand why people would say that she doesn't have any African ancestry, or she's not black at all, and all that type of thing, which is totally, if you want to use the way that we use the word black, then it's not right.
I think that's off. If you're saying she's not black at all, I think that's a problem. That's problematic. I'm not saying she's not mixed. She has a lot. She's very mixed. And I think we all are mixed. Let's talk about that. I think we all have a level of mixing going on with us. When you break it down, she can actually see, she actually came from parents that were mixed, so she could see it from the top. But most of us, when we hit that DNA joint, we see we all mixed up somewhere. So
yeah.
I don't. You know, we had Andre in, and he left.
Well, you can put
If
the
you
link
want-
back out there again if you want somebody else to come in.
Yeah, if you want to, definitely, if you want to come into the joint, we can put you on stage. You can do your thing. Andre says, "I'm back, and she is not black." So he's, you know, it sounds like he's in the FBA. He's down with the FBA joint, and it's all good. But I think we do ourselves a disservice with all of these columns of being African. We're African.
I'm back, and I'm black. I'm back.
Andre's gonna come in. Can we bring him in? Let's bring Andre in. Yeah, you want to talk about it, Andre? You on stage, and we need to see you. So open your camera up, brother.
Yes. Make sure you open your camera up, Andre.
I'm right here.
Oh, there go baby.
With a little baby. I was trying to get online when I didn't have the baby.
Well, hello, you. Good evening. How are you?
Andre got the baby. He said, "Look, that's going to soften us up a little bit." Andre, you right. You got the baby.
You typing all that, typing all that stuff you was typing. So let's go.
Hold on. Give me 1 second.
What you think?
1 second.
Andre said, no, you're gonna go ahead and.
So when you come back, we'll let you in. But definitely, I think we do. I will say this. I think we do ourselves a disservice with the FBA, the ADOS, and all of these separations of African. If that's something that's very neutral, great, like you said. But if it's something that's divisive, that's dividing us more, then we're only doing the same joint that others are doing. And I think that does us a disservice.
Yeah. You know, when I look at FBA, right, I don't think there's a problem with people identifying as FBA or ADOS. It's similar to, you know, this is the way they want to identify their group here in the United States in this unique way. So it'll be tantamount to someone saying I'm a black Jamaican, or I'm a black person that lives in some other country, or what have you. So they will be identifying themselves as black people in America. Now, where I disagree with both of these groups is that they tend to, and maybe not all, they tend to disconnect their lineage from Africa, though. They tend to, disconnect from Africa.
They tend to and I think that's the problem, is our origin is not on these shores, and so we have to have some connection to Africa.
Andre leave again? Oh, he's back.
Andre, right. There you go.
So this is what it is, y'all.
Okay. All right, bring Andre back.
Okay, come on, Andre. Let's talk.
All right. What's up?
Hey, how are you? Remarkably black. Love
Remarkably black.
Okay. So can we hear your argument, Brother Andre?
So there was so many points that y'all was like touching on. About
first, can we hear where you're from? Where are you from, Andre?
I'm from America. I am.
No, I mean, where are you calling us? Where are you calling in from? I'm saying
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. Okay, welcome.
Indiana. So my people are out of Mississippi.
Thanks for joining us, Andre.
Yeah, this is my first time even seeing. Maybe it popped up because your title was Kamala, so I don't know. But I stayed around and listened with you. But is she black?
Yes.
That was the biggest question.
Then
we was talking about FBA, ADOS, and all that. She looks black, right? So I'm a real estate agent, but I also have worked at Amazon for a long time, where I was exposed to a lot of people from all over the world. So when I said that Africans identify as tribes and their country before continent, so when we get here, we always feel like, yeah, we all the same people, we black, right? But that's not how they feel. They do not feel that same way about us. Although we have always, like, we was rooting for South Africa, we was against apartheid. You know what I'm saying? We've always rooted for them. but that love has never been reciprocated on the mass. You know what I'm saying? I don't think northern, so let's say Eastern Africans, like your Ethiopians, they don't feel like they are black. And I'm not talking about the ones who are like in the bush. I'm talking about the ones who are brown skinned. Like there was a difference growing up watching those commercials uh, that they used to have with the little kids and they was hungry and all of that versus the Ethiopians that I met in the Americas. So those people consider themselves. I can't remember the name of it because I'm very cool with a lot of Ethiopians. You know, I'm very cool with a lot of the Africans that I work with. But they feel like there's a difference. Us as Black Americans, possibly the starters of the Pan African stuff, we feel like we all the same, but they do not feel like that. And because they don't feel like that, we have to understand that we are different than them. I digress on that part.
So Andre, I think
Yes,
what you're saying, there's some truth to it to a degree. Just like us in America, including you, it sounds, you don't see yourself as the same as them, right? There's probably a large majority that see things that way, even here in America. Just like that, and how we've been taught negative things about them, they've also been taught negative things about us. But there are people there and here who also recognize the commonality, the connectiveness, and that we are all children of Africa on both continents, the North America continent, South America, North America, Canada, and also Canada and United States. And there's also people in let's say I can't remember the countries you were naming, but let's say I think one of them was like Ethiopia. There's Ethiopians who become aware of what blackness is, because blackness is not a major thing there, because where they are, different countries, different continents, different people, and different groups of people are taught different ways of things about race. But once they learn what it means to be black, especially when they get here, lots of them understand and do identify as black as well, and powerfully so. But there are those who you never grew up your whole life having to call yourself black, so that might become a bit of a problem, because you never looked at yourself in a racialized sense. You looked at yourself in more of an ethnic sense.
That's understandable. So let me ask you about where y'all come from, Africa. So do you believe in Darwinism? Like, was Darwin correct with this out of Africa theory? And I can't think of the title of the book right now.
Man, something. Yeah, but
survival of the fittest. Yeah, but you believe in that because you know the out of African thing is a theory. It is not proven to be a fact as of yet. Because there's also theory that America
is a theorem, I believe, and it has so much evidence to support it. There's no evidence greater than the evidence support than the out of Africa theory, quote unquote. What theory are you subscribing to? That's why we got to have the conversation. And I'm not saying Darwinism. I'm not an expert on that. I've heard people debate it. I'm not going to act like I am the expert on Darwin, But what I am saying is that there's much research to support that our beginnings start in Africa, and then outward from there, people populated the earth.
It's a theory, though. It's not a fact.
Yeah, but what theory do you have? That's what I'm asking.
I mean, there are theories, as I said.
No. What theory do you have? I mean, because if you're not subscribing to this theory,
I used to subscribe to a lot of things that I heard growing up.
Yes, sir.
America has older pyramids in Africa. How about? Did y'all know that part?
I did.
So this is gonna lead us into y'all was questioning the FBA and the
that's how it.
ADOS. So I was
That's
going into that. This is the leading statement into.
But that's debated, though. That's debated. Well, let me ask you, how do you identify?
So I used to say black. Black was a word that I used to like to use.
No. Why do you keep going? I used to, not saying. What do you? How do you identify?
Because look, so
no. How do you identify?
my people are from Mississippi.
Okay.
Choctaw, Chickasaw.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother told me this.
Okay, cool. So you're an indigenous. You're not FBA. Are you FBA?
If you know what FBA stands for, because y'all was asking. Now hold on, let me answer the question. Because earlier you was like, "What is that? What does that mean?" So
no, I didn't.
FBA, yeah, I was. I was like, I remember.
I explained what FBA was. I didn't say what is that.
Well, if you know what foundational Black Americans are, then you would know that foundational Black Americans say that we were the tribes that were here originally. I'm not ADOS or FBA, although I do watch some of Tariq Nasheed's information.
Are you saying that Tariq Nasheed doesn't think we have an origin outside of this country?
I've seen his videos. I've seen some of the things that he said.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I'm saying that as far as we know.
Mm-hmm. Who is we? And
it's possible. It's possible that some of our people came here from Africa before 1492, right? But also is that our people was already here before 1492. Queen has said that only 8% of the slaves came here, but we were taught that millions of slaves landed in America.
Andre, you are not answering any of the questions, brother.
What did you ask me, man, that I didn't answer?
I forgot now, bro. I forgot.
You asked me what did I identify as.
Yes, thank you. You heard. I
told you that. I said I used to say black. Black is a color. It is not a race, for one.
Okay. So what are you? Okay, you don't need to give us a history lesson to tell us how you identify.
I'm just saying because I went into Choctaw Chickasaw, but I'm saying black is a color and it is not a race. Right?
You identify as a Choc.
I identify right now, as far as our conversation is concerned with Kamala, I identify myself as a Black American. When my African friends, they come over here, they say, y'all Black Americans are crazy. So for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to say I'm a Black American because that is where I am identifying myself different than the other people who identify themselves different from us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we do.
How do you identify, man? That's what my question was, because you never answered the question. I saw you posting on pictures, and I was trying to figure out
how do I identify?
Yeah.
Okay, African. I'm gonna keep going. I'm African. I also identify as Black American or African in America. I identify as I identify with those two more specifically. Yes.
What's the other stuff you don't want to talk about? What's that?
No, it's just variations of the same thing.
So do you identify as Black though? I don't know, because I was wondering. I was looking at the pictures and I didn't know
the first thing I said was Black.
Man was up there.
No. You talking about me?
Yeah, when I was looking at them pictures, I didn't know if that was Kamala people or your people. I didn't know.
Oh no, they weren't. No, you was definitely taking care of the baby. You wasn't paying attention. Look, but I appreciate you coming on. They definitely were Kamala's people.
Okay, so you 100%.
I'm 100%
Black American.
From my understanding, however, maybe a great grandmother somewhere, my father has a narrative that it might have been from the West Indies, or so I don't know. That's or wasn't so.
Before you kick me off, here is the one issue that I will say. There were slaves that was taken from here and taken to the West Indies. So if I say that we were already here, yes, they were taken from here and over there. So if they say that the indigenous people here were the first ones to go into slavery, then some of those people over there would have to definitely be our people. But I'm still going to say that in America, they say you can self-identify. And Kamala has said she was Indian,
She
not
also
black.
said, but she did not say not black.
What's she saying? What did she run at?
You added that part.
What did she say?
Hold on.
I said not. Well, okay, I said not black. I'm not saying she said that she's not black. What I'm saying is that she said she was Indian.
I've been reading her book. I've been reading her
book.
She's been saying she's African American. She's been saying she's black.
You just said African American.
Both. I've been reading her book since yesterday, since I've seen all this stuff come out. Both.
How can she be African American, bro?
The same way that I'm African American.
So y'all have the same lineup then. You got East Indian people.
Oh, well, let's go back. What do you call, again, the way I started this conversation off today was, what do you consider African American? Then we can have that conversation.
So if I go off of what Jesse Jackson and them did in the 80s, they made that term up for us. Although for a few hundred years, none of our people was even thought of to be over there. Now, if a South African person like Elon Musk, guess what he is when he comes here? And he's an American. He's an African American by definition because he is from Africa.
What? Say that again.
So if Elon Musk, to my understanding,
Andre, that's semantics. I gotta jump in. That's semantics. Okay, we know that South Africa had a white population that populated South Africa and oppressed the people, the indigenous people. Yes, you will have children if you come into someone's country and oppress them. It does not make you African. It makes you a European that came to South Africa, and you're now South African because you were born there.
Yes, exactly.
They were oppressed by the group of white people. So to say that he comes over here and he's African American is nonsensical.
What I'm saying is he was born in Africa, which makes him an African. That's what I'm saying.
That makes him an African. It does not make him.
If you were born in America, it makes you American, right?
Yes, but we're American. We're American Africans.
But we're not.
Say it again.
He was born in Africa, which makes him an African. No matter how you put it. If we looking at
why he was born in Africa, they came to Africa.
We know that part.
That's a group of people. And
but what I'm saying, if he came to America, if he was born in Africa and he came to America and got citizenship here, he would be considered an African American more than we are. That's what I'm saying.
No. That hold on. That's not true, Andre.
It isn't. What you're saying is
no. And I'm gonna say why it's not. Isn't. I think some of the things you said was accurate, but some things are not. One, he can be considered an African citizen, right?
Yes.
Right. He can be considered. You say Elon Musk or something like that?
Yeah.
Was he born in South Africa? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
He is. He's born in South Africa. He's a white South African.
But when you look up the definition of Black American or African American, it says from the people, the Black people that origins in Africa, not the white people
of Africa.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's where you're wrong. But two, I do agree that he can be considered African because he was born there. Yes. Although we might despise that, but that's the way the society has framed things and all that type of thing. We know that. But you are misutilizing it in this instance.
I'm just saying that we're looking at legal terminology.
I know it's not legal.
If somebody was born in China and then they came over here, would they be Chinese American?
It's Black Chinese. It's Chinese in Jamaica.
So if it was a Black person who was born in China, would they be considered Chinese American if they came here?
They'll be considered.
They were white and born in China. They'd be white Chinese.
Let's keep the buck. There's several things that's going on here. You're utilizing nationality and conflating it with racial categories at times, and you flip-flopping it. So a white person, no matter where you are, and even some people who aren't even considered white from the visual aspect, when they come to America, they have a box that's called white, and they will check that box, even if it's from Africa. They will check that box white. Even some people who've come from Africa who is dark, you are correct. Historically, in this case, that they have been from northeastern Africa, and they could be as dark as you and I, and also at some point be considered. They could have checked that box white, but it doesn't. White people don't. That is not to me. Why is not? I'm not going to say none, but it is not advantageous for a white person from South Africa or anywhere in Africa to come to America and say they're African American. That just don't happen like that.
I'm not gonna say they're gonna check that box. That's not what I was saying.
You said
I'm
legally.
saying they would be more they would be more closer to being an African American.
With your logic, with your logic, and I can't admit that it doesn't have some logical framing. You know what I mean? But I am saying that is not how it works, though.
It might not be how it works, but it makes sense, though, don't it?
I said I followed the logic. You're not illogical, totally, yeah. But you're not being honest either. So, but I get it. You're witty, but you know you're not the only witty one on here. But
I'm not trying to be witty, but just think of it like so.
You're not witty yourself, brother.
We the Asian people, right? We know they have a common wherever they came from, but
they have a what?
We don't a common like ancestry, right? Wherever they came from, but they don't say, "Hey, I'm a Japanese, whatever."
They do. In America, they do. That's an old, outdated, false statement. They do. I teach. In fact,
Korean does not want to be Chinese.
I teach
but that's what I was saying though. They don't all say, "I am from this original place," because we haven't lived there. So a such amount of time. A Korean is not going to say, my ancestors originally came from China if that's where they originally started it. They're not because now they are Koreans. Now they are Japanese. Just like we've been here for a such amount of time, we are not Africans.
You messed up. You messed up. You conflating things. Go ahead, Queen. Drop it, Queen. Drop it.
You're conflating things, brother. Asians are, that's who they are ethnically. They're not Asians. Koreans aren't from China. I think Japanese.
We don't know where the original origin is.
But Andre, let us finish and just listen. Breathe, Andre. We heard you. We've heard you. But breathe. Let the sister at least try to reason with her for a minute.
Y'all had to cook, Sister Queen.
No, bro. Listen. I love you, my brother. But what I'm saying to you is, you're not Asians. Korean is not from China. Why do you think that a Japanese person is from China? It's not true. Koreans are from Korea. They're Asian though. That's their ethnic. They're not from China. You're saying that Koreans are originally from China. It's not true. They're originally from Korea.
When they get here,
they're Asian. Just like Indians are South Asian when they're from India. They're still Asian. You
understand? But that's not what I was saying.
Asian, though, right? But they're still Cambodians are not from China. They are South Asian. So
I know what I was saying was that Asians have a common ancestry that started somewhere.
If
everybody, well, why ain't they called Africans then? If they started in Africa.
But hold on. Can I help, Queen? Because now your logic is off. It was on a little earlier. Even though I disagree with you, had some logic. Right here, you're malfunctioning here. You're malfunctioning because let's keep things equal. All right, Asia is a what?
We know that Asia is a continent. We have.
Well, it sounds like you didn't know it earlier. Okay, just it. Asia is a continent. Africa is a what?
We know that.
We don't. You didn't sound like you knew it earlier. But what is it?
It's on a continent.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna stop asking questions. Hold on. Let me finish. Both are continents, and Japanese people, and Chinese people, and Cambodian people, they consider themselves Asians. And guess what else? That's something else you were alluding to, that nobody else does that. When they come over, they just consider themselves Chinese or this or that, which is not true. I teach multiculturalism, and I have Asian students in my class, and they call themselves Asian American, first generation, second generation, and and even those who were naturalized here, they call themselves Asian American. So African Americans are not the only people that say I'm African and American, and even if they were here for years, I'm talking about their whole life, and they're 70 now, they still consider themselves American, and they also have Asian ancestry. And I'm not saying everybody agrees with that. Not everybody agrees with anything. Some Asians, like some black people, say, I ain't none of that. Some of them say, I'm just American. So look, some people say, I showed you the chart earlier. Some Asians, some black people, some everybody are assimilationists as well. So they say my American identity is more important than my African or my Asian or even European identity. Because some white people in America will struggle with you saying they are European descent even. Go ahead. Or Europeans.
So even with that theory, why don't we say that they are European Americans?
I do. It's written in books. I mean, that's myth. I'm saying I teach multiculturalism is in books. Maybe common people don't use that because I'll tell you why though. I think you make a great point. And the point is that, see, because white people have usurped the ethnic groups, and they've created this myth called white people. And so now they intentionally created this new ideal, this new okay, I'm hearing myself back. I'm sorry. I'm struggling.
I got headphones.
Yeah, so they created this new
racial construct.
So well, I'm looking for a different word, but they created a patriotic identity called whiteness, and it's a fiction. That's why we know white people is white people, not Greek or Italian or what have you. But some of them don't know their ancestry. Some of them do. So that's why they call themselves white. In fact, they are ignorant to the idea they have culture many times. Most of them, I teach them. But they only know white. In fact, they don't even identify as white many times. Why? Because they have been positioned in this United States as the norm. So that's why we don't say white. That's why they don't say white. That's why they don't think they have culture. That's why everybody else has culture. That's why they don't think they are an ethnic group, because they are the norm the way that they see the world. They see themselves as the center. They see themselves as the what is it called? The benchmark, the baseline. So you're right in some sense, but you're conflating things, and they do all those things that you say they don't do.
So
okay,
when
let me say,
Queen?
Yeah, let me say something, because we Dre, we're moving away from particularly
Kamala.
Kamala. And absolutely, you have great points, but I think that we compare ourselves to what white folks are doing and what Asians are doing and what other people are doing, and that's why we particularly are looking for acronyms for who we are: FBA, ADOS, and all of that. But if we actually study history and we just be ourselves, we're American Africans. We're Africans, and that's what we are. And that's across the board. You might say there are people in Africa who don't identify with us. There are Americans that don't identify with Africa. We could say the same thing. So these divisive tactics have come from Europeans, and we're digesting and manifesting that by creating these phylums that does us a disservice. We're Africans. Now the question to you is: Kamala Harris black, bruh? That's the question.
Oh, I said she isn't black, and it's people with our skin coming on the continent who say they not black.
We're not talking about other people. We talking about
why
do you think
I've seen the pictures. Black? I've seen the pictures. Initially, if she was walking down the street, I would think that's a black sister. Initially,
if you see her standing at the podium, you think she's black. Be honest.
But my whole life, I thought people were black and they were like Puerto Rican or Dominican, or they were Haitian.
You know why? Because they're Africans.
But the term black, though, is a term that was created here, which identified us, and we apply it to everybody else.
But listen, when I work in the medical field, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Africa, I don't care where you from, you are black.
But do you understand what I'm saying, though?
Listen, let me finish. There's no different for African. There's no different for Puerto Rican. It's anything in the medical field. It's either black, white, Asian. There's no different. Now they have
So black.
Latino because Latinos are so present in America, but there's never been a differentiation, like you're saying, for the breakdown of what African is or what Black is. We think that there's a difference, but white folks identify us all as Black. Every last one of us.
I mean, you definitely could with that, but we know that initially, though, that
And the
word was
medical field
attributed.
has the ADA around us all being Black, not African, not Puerto Rican, not anything. So the time that we're spending separating ourselves because of geography has nothing to do with our DNA. We're Africans. And until we accept that, that's what we are. And it doesn't matter how someone feels on the continent. It has nothing to do with you and who you are. And that's how we, and in the continent, they can say what they want to say about us, but we're still Africans.
End of the day, Black is different than African, though. When
Tell
we
me the
use that
difference.
term, when we use that terminology as Black, right? It's a rendition from what Negro.
That's not
Negro
totally
being.
true, though. It's
But
not
hold
totally
on,
true.
man. Let me finish though. We
Bro,
know that
you've been saying the same thing forever, though. You
I
said that
didn't say
already when you came in.
I haven't said
You
anything
said,
about Negro.
Let the brother talk. Let the brother talk down. Let him talk.
I haven't said anything from Negro. And I know you're a
okay.
teacher, and I know all of this. So, but just listen. Negro, we took control of that word. Like who was that? Muhammad Ali was saying, yeah, we choose to say Black instead of Negro. So we taking control over it now. It's our word. So when that was said, that switched the translation, which we already know was Negro, to Black, and then we became Black and we proud.
What's the definition of Negro? The definition of the first definition of Negro was Black. It's a color.
It was Black.
If you look in crayons, it says Negro. It's Black.
It says
on a black
Negro.
crayon. Yes.
It's
So
a Spanish
Negro
word.
meant Black. That's
It
the
meant
definition
Black.
in the early dictionaries. It's
They
been
attributed that word Negro. We was the American Negro.
because Negro was a color, Black. That's what I'm telling you. If you're a Negro in a Latin language, it means Black.
Okay.
In the Western world, around slavery, when they started using terms as white and Black, right? They didn't say you was white if you was a Greek. If back in those days, there was no white and Black back in those days. You was either a Greek or you was not a Greek. You was a Roman or you was not a Roman.
Did you hold up, Queen? You told me to stop, and you kept coming in. I'm trying to figure out. Did you see the beginning of the show, Andre?
I've been here since the beginning.
Did you see?
I had to get off for a minute.
Okay,
and I came back back.
Andre, where you from? Indianapolis?
Yeah.
You got to get the gab, brother. Hey, look, piece of power to my Indy family, my mom and Danu. I don't know if she watching right now, but yeah, we got some good people from up there down here. But I do. Yeah, you one of them. I can see you hanging in there.
I'm messing with you, man.
No, I know you one. I know you one of the good people. I could tell. You know, you're not a fanatic in the most extreme way, but you are a fanatic. But no, but what I want to say is this, Andre. At the beginning of the show, I shared that if we don't agree on the definitions or the terms, then the conversation will do exactly what I'm talking about right here. Now, that's what I was sharing with Queen. Now, I can go whatever direction you want to go, but the fact is, the common consensus, if I want to go with the common consensus, I don't care what nobody says, the common consensus is that Kamala Harris is Black. I'm saying if you wake up, I'm talking about any of us, and don't know this lady walking down the street, we are without all the information that you have, and the information is being made up about her. The information is being made up, and we understand that race is a social construct in the first place. But she passed the look test. She does clearly. She does. She passes the test. She also passes the test with her family lineage. It doesn't have to be American, but daggone sure those peoples in Jamaica are what you would identify as Afro or Black Jamaicans. You just do. Now, Jamaican is majority populated by Black people, so we just automatically think of Jamaicans as being synonymous with Black. when that's not totally true. But nonetheless, she passes the black test. Just looking at her, she passes the black cultural test because she's definitely been steeped in black culture, although people are saying she wasn't. Her receipts in her book shows it. And it's not just one picture. And it's not just 2 years ago when she started talking about hot sauce. Now, does she pander to black people and it's sickening to me? She does. And it's sickening to me when she does that. The whole, even the whole event yesterday, to some degree, people had some critique about that with Megan Thee Stallion and all this type of thing. There's some pandering there to some degree. But I mean, you can't say that Trump isn't doing the same thing. Trump brought the lady out with the tattoo on her head, whatever her name is, right? And he brings out rappers and all that. So they're playing this war against one another. But and even I did hear critique about Megan Thee Stallion. I did look at the Megan Thee Stallion thing, and it was not necessarily your typical Megan Thee Stallion performance. She wasn't getting real busy on it. It was a little bit less provocative, to be honest. Some people would say no, but I looked at it. It looks totally different than what you would see at a Megan Thee Stallion show. Literally, I went to see Lauryn Hill a few years ago, and Megan Thee Stallion was the opening act. So I saw Megan Thee Stallion in real life. And what she did yesterday evening from the clip I saw was not anywhere near what she typically does. And I forgot where I was going. You said so much, brother Andre. We're gonna let you go, bro. We thank you for joining.
There's some people that are saying some things you probably want to tap into.
Oh, okay, but, okay.
I'm a subscribe though, and I'll be back. Oh yeah,
subscribe, brother.
Another topic. You know what I'm saying? I'll be here.
Not you, just Andre. Everyone, share, subscribe, please. Share, subscribe
on both pages.
Radio. And Dr. Dennis Assar Winkler, he's gonna bring the analysis. And we've been here for 2 hours, guys. 2 hours.
So if you're not
Kamala Harris Black, that's all we were here for, yo.
I'm gonna go ahead and leave. Well, unless you ask me something.
So if you're on Dr. or Dr. Dennis Assar Winkler page, make sure you go over to Black Box Radio and subscribe. Like the video over there. If you leave a comment over here, leave one over there, and vice versa. Let's do that, family.
We appreciate you coming on and take some guts to
did somebody say radical twerking? Did I see
twerking? But definitely listen, you guys, all of this, Mr. Junior, bro, you need to come in when you got this coconut tree and all of this foolishness up here.
Hey, Queen, what now? What's something that really in the closing out that something that stood out to you in the comments that we probably need to talk about before we leave?
It's a lot to stand out, but what I do want to, Miss Sidonia, she said, "Thank you, Dr. Dashi Black." I said he said she's mixed, bro. Sis.
Who? No, I said she's black. I'm not playing the mixed card. Even if she's mixed, listen what I'm saying. Even if she's mixed, right? Jamaican can be an ethnicity, Doc. It can. You can be an ethnic group in Jamaica. I mean, for like Black Jamaicans, yeah, it can. It just these things are not that tight. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Queen. I just saw that post and it kind of took me off a little bit.
What's that? Well, we've been here 2 hours, so Dr. Doc, it's time for you to give us the last jewel.
That's what you were saying.
We appreciate everyone who's been here tonight. This has been a very, very, very unbelievable conversation. I didn't know that people felt this way. So it's nice to see that we're engaged. Voting is a tool. I'm not saying do not vote. I'm saying make sure that you understand what you're voting for. And voting for race and color and someone who has Meg Thee Stallion or someone who has that chick with, I forgot her name. Kanye old girlfriend. I forgot her name. But someone who has that, we have some very flawed candidates. That's what I would say. Is Kamala Harris Black? To me, she is. Now, Doc, leave the final analysis.
Okay. She's Black. That's how she identifies. She has receipts. She's also she has Asian South Asian. She's also South Asian. Let me say that. Her mother's from South. Let's say her mother's from South Asia.
Mm-hmm.
Her father's from Jamaica, so she has these people in her family, her lineage, her origin. And then, so I'm saying she's black. Let me just be clear. She's black, but she's also
Jamaican.
She comes from a South Asian mother and a Jamaican daddy.
Yeah.
Now, these aren't racial terms. These are countries.
Yep.
And some would say these aren't ethnicities, but they are as well. They serve as both. You know what I mean? Then there might be different ethnic groups within countries, or but it's not that simple. It just depends on how you define it. Again, we can argue and debate terms, but the reality is, if we don't agree on
her father's Irish Jamaican, we looking for something. I mean, now he's Irish Jamaican. Wow.
Okay, and he's not. Well, go back, Pampero Firpo at the beginning of the show and go through the show, and we'll show you the footage, and we'll show you that if she's all of that, you got some Irish probably in you too when you go and do your ethnic background chart. I do. I know I do. I got some Irish in my
we all got
from my DNA,
Mm-hmm.
But so it's a null argument unless we define what we mean by what we mean. And to me, in this case, Kamala is as black as many of the people who saying she's not. And I'll just drop it like that.
That's a good drop. I think that's a good drop. So we both agree that she's black, but she has heritage. And most people don't even know that India is South Asian. They're Asian folks. But she's a black woman. She looks like a black woman. She quacks like a dope black woman. So she's a black woman. Now, her policies I just think that we cannot, her being a black woman and appearing to be a black woman has nothing to do with how she's going to run this country. So be careful.
I already shared that.
Yeah, vote.
I already shared that.
Yeah, vote.
Already shared.
Sensical with your vote, and we know what Trump is. We know Trumpy. So just be careful.
But we talked about that.
All we hear about from here on is race.
And I just want to remind that what I said is that she can be black, like many of us are black, and within the black groups we identify differently. Kamala, from my lens and optic, is more of a multiculturalist, inclusive person. So you might not, as a black person, agree with that, but that's okay. Some of us black people are assimilationists, and some of us are Afrocentric. I'm typically more of an African-centered person. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm against anybody else or anything like that, but I do know that my people need people to support their efforts and struggles. So, Queen, you just take us out before we can end the show.
Yeah, we're going to leave it there. This has been a very fruitful conversation. We both agree that she's black. I just say, everyone, that race is a social construct. Do not let that be the deciding fact to everything that you do, because it's not real. And so that's it. Have a good night. We appreciate you guys coming here. We're here every Wednesday, Doc in the Box, with these community conversations that come from the community. That's what makes it so important, that we're having authentic conversations that's coming from us, about us. So this has been one great conversation.
When you claim you're African, you're going to get your mind
Drop
back.
it, y'all.
Black
You
and
did
proud.
y'all.
Claim you're African. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you.
Good night.
When you claim you're African, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Claim you're African. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you. When you claim you're African, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Claim you're African. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you. Become a part of it. Embrace it. 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 When you claim you're African, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Claim you're African. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you. When you claim you're African, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Claim you're African. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you. When you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back.